Welcome back today for another boring video of Arco Properties where I get to explain you boring stuff, but at least I do it with a smile, right? What is a propiedad horizontal? That is how we call basically a condo. The propiedad horizontal is horizontal property. So every building that you see and it's, somebody can buy a piece of it, that's a condo. And I think it's hilarious because I think that's one of the difference between Spanish and English is like we tend to use apartment and condo for the same thing. And I know that in other places they mean different, they have different connotations, like a building that's only rentals or a building that can be owned separately. So for us, it's all the same. If it's a propiedad horizontal, what it means is that it was an asset that was either created or segmented into different pieces. So now maybe there's a commercial space and then you have apartments, and each apartment is going to have its own ID number. What that enables is for that piece to be sold and transferred. Why is that important? When you're buying a pre-construction, usually you are coming out of a piece of land, or perhaps it's a building that's getting renovated, in the case of Casco Viejo. So what ends up happening is that at some point, that property becomes a propiedad horizontal. So that's a big legal process where you grab the one asset that maybe had one finca number, and you're going to segregate it into the pieces that have been sold so that it can be transferred. So let's say Maria buys apartment 101. During this process, apartment 101 gets assigned a finca number 325, and now you get to do a deed that says finca 325, known as apartment 101, goes to Maria, and then it gets transferred. So that's the piece. Without that piece, you cannot transfer. Without that transfer, nothing flows. So that is why this is important. In Panama, probably it's very similar to the condos that you see all over the world. They have a condo board, and that condo board is, president, vice president, treasury, secretary, and treasury. You can have a couple more people in the board, but that's the normal, that's the standard. If it's a new development, Panamanian law requires the developer to be on the board for the first year. Some developments I've seen where they already approach the owners and say, hey, this is your condo, so let's make you part of the decision making, so that a shadow board gets trained, so that it's easier and more transparent to then pass the administration. All the accounts are transparent, everything is published, and everything, makes sense for the first official board of directors to take over. And usually then those board of directors, they tend to be owners or people who represent the owners. I have a personal feeling there, sorry about the microphone, and I feel strongly that the best condominiums in Casco Viejo are those where the owners live in the property, are full-time owners, or at least are there 50-60% of the time. Because nothing like the eye of an owner that is always there. So if you are that person, be part of the board, be in control of the asset, so that you can maintain the quality not only of your investment, but of the building as a whole. Now, one piece of this condo adventure is the HOA. I know HOAs, if you Google that, all you see are like horror movies of HOA, like this, that. There is an HOA regulation for Panama, and I think that law gets more complicated every day. But still, it's very much about common sense. There are condo rules, and those rules everybody should have. Do take note that most of the times those rules are issued in Spanish. So use ChatGPT. Although now we're asking everybody to try and make them bilingual, but usually those are the rules that get registered, and the Ministry of Housing, when the propiedad horizontal gets gets done for the first time. So it's part of the documents that create the condominium. So those will be in Spanish. If you want the original ones, you have to go to the one that is registered. And then use ChatGPT and translate the whole thing. The other thing about condo boards in Panama, I'm assuming that that's the same in other places. You have your condo board registered at the public registry and the administrator registered at the public registry. When there is a meeting, an assembly, and that changes, you have to go through the same process of registering the new condo board and the new management at the public registry. If you don't do that, or the condo doesn't do that, when you get to try and sell your apartment, you realize that part of the paperwork that you as a seller need to present in order to sell, you don't have the official people to sign for it. Let's say now you've been in this apartment for 10 years. Now you want to sell it. You didn't check who was registered on the board, and that's actually an online checking, so you can go online and take a look. That's pretty open source. Now you have to issue all what they call the pasisalvos, and you need the administration to sign. You go to administration, they sign the whole thing. Goes to the public registry. The public registry checks that the signature on that paper is the same as the one registered with them. If it's not, then they're going to say, hey, this is not the registered administrator. This is not the registered president. What happened? It could have been that there was an official change where all the owners voted and there was an official change, but they forgot to register it. And now, whomever was on the board before, maybe they don't even live in the country. How are you going to get that signature? So those are the things, the devil is on the detail kind of things that I'm telling you in advance so you understand. The public registry nowadays, it's very minutious and very detail-minded on everything being registered and everything has to match. So now you know. We have a propiedad horizontal, which is a horizontal property. The HOAs usually are agreed by everybody at the beginning, and then you, as an owner, you can change it. That's the other thing that's important. If you feel that the HOA fees are too high or too low, you can always see what it's covered by that. You can ask the board and the administration what is being covered by this, and they have a budget. The owners can get together and change that budget. So perhaps you want to add something, perhaps you want to take it away. Maybe you don't need a full-time concierge, maybe you need a half-time concierge. But those are decisions made by the whole building. So as owners, you do have that type of control. So you have the HOAs, you have the importance of registering boards and administration, being clear at all times who is who. And you have the finca segmentation, especially if this is your first purchase, especially if you're buying on a pre-sales or something in plans. Now, the Airbnb question. Most likely, you're going to see that we already did a video on this, there is a regulation for the whole city of Panama. You have to be 45 days or more. But the specific condo can issue a different ruling for that. And as long as they do it in consensus, then probably everybody is going to be on the same platform. We have seen condos go all Airbnb, the whole building, and we have seen condos ban Airbnb. So again, before you purchase, make sure you understand what's the regulation, not only the written one, but also how our owners, what's the spirit that is with that building. Because if it is owner-occupied and long-term tenants, it is going to be hard to do a short vacation rental. So make sure you don't mix that, and make sure you have all these checks in your checklist so you understand where you're buying, and what does this numbering mean. Like, my apartment is A101. Why do I have a finca number 3250? That is why. And that, in fact, will be the legal description for your apartment, your commercial space is going to be that finca number. And with that finca number, you can actually go online and see the whole record of your own property and make sure that everything is correct. So there you go. That is propiedad horizontal. And if you like this video, subscribe.